Hey everybody, so it's Marty the Party and Rhett, my coding buddy, and we got our big old cube. Our cube is bigger now because we went with a fulcrum of zero point 0.5, I think, or 50, because apparently this is the human's fulcrum, our normal one, but we had a different one before which made it smaller, which would have definitely, Rhett's definitely feeling feisty today, um, would have definitely affected the way, I mean, in my last application, I believe the fulcrum is usually 70. So I don't know. Um, Looks like our camera is sitting at zero point 0.5 and the whole thing is zero point 0.2. So I do think this is a more normal one. And I remember having one where like a video last time where I was trying to do like an eclipse and I was trying to create a moon and I wanted it to look more like a regular human moon and it just didn't look right and I think it might have been a Fulstrom situation. But anyways, so last time we were kind of working through things. I kind of skipped these. I'll come back to those later. But it looks like we are to the position. Um, so this is an awkward situation, right? Because I guess there's a default position of 0, but we're setting it here. So when we go to create our camera, I don't know, three perspective camera. Yeah, see, it's not part of the initial thing, so it gets a 0. Um, I feel like I want to require the X, Y, and Z be set. Um, I just, I just think, I just don't know. Yeah, I think I want to require those. And I think I did that last time, and I don't think it worked out badly. Um, so basically, our camera is going to have an X, Y, and Z position, but I think all kinds of things have a position. So I think it makes sense to have a more general position interface. So let's go ahead and go into our packages. And we're getting better. We're getting better at this. Um, so we should be able to just copy this. For now, I'm just going to assume it's going to be in its own position, but maybe there'll be like utility one in the future. ST position. She's very excited about this position situation. And then I position. Position. Here we go. And now we'll go. Here we go, rep. Here we go. We're going to make a interface. So what we're expecting it to be is in here. So we have our interfaces, ST and position. And then it's called ST position. Um, npm. That was a good one, Rhett. Run. Add I position. Boom. It's taking it. My computer's been really slow today. I probably should have restarted before I did this, but here we go. We got our position. And basically, we want to do something along the lines of this. Let's see how this works. Oh, I did not copy. So, but that does look right. So basically, we're going to have our X, and that is a number. We're going to have our Y. What? Number and our Z. And that's a number. And then we're going to say that the ST camera has a position. Oh, let's go ahead and put that before Fulstrom so we can keep these. You know what? I want to try this out. I want to try this take this for a spin and put this down here. Position, and that is of type ST position. And it just brought it in like magic. And I do think we probably will have like something that we at some point may want our position outside of this. Dot slash position slash ST position. And so now that position is available. Now we have something breaking up here. And this is ideal. It's saying, hey, you know, we needed a position. So we're going to say position, colon, and we know that it needs to have an X, and that X basically right now is 0, Y, colon, 0, and Z, colon, 1. And then, and actually at this point we don't even have to, we don't really have to set it, but we can just say put position and is equal to, and let's make this 0.5. Let's say the same as what it gave us. 0.5 and this dot st camera dot position dot z. And I feel like that is so much better. It's just so much better. And we can just go and just set them. This is another one of those things that I've seen just be the source of endless arguments. I think people tend to, the winning side is usually the people who don't want to set things that are already set by default and don't really have indication. And I do think that like if there's less than 10 attributes, it's probably better to set them. But if there's more than 10, so if there's less than three or less, it's definitely better to set them. If it's between 3 and 10, it's probably a good argument. And then if it's greater than 10, you probably shouldn't try to set them because it's just diminishing returns, you know. But a lot of people just want one rule for all cases, and I don't think that usually works out. So now we can set the position. Let's just go ahead and test that. Set our camera's position to 3. So that should put us out a good bit. Now, I don't know why it is not, why we can't see it. And maybe, you know, so it's within our far. So let's go ahead and put 1. Let's make it 1. And let's make it back to 0. Mm, 0.1. Oh, it's because we're so close. Yeah, there's no way you're gonna be able to see it. Oh, yeah. You're very, very close to it, and then you move over 3. You might be able to see it at like 0.5, right? So, although the camera, I guess, is looking at. Let's change this to 0 and see what happens. I'm actually very, very. 0.1. Okay, so it is not looking at 0, 0. Right, so I guess so I believe there's a camera dot look at local to world, huh? I'm very curious what that is. Look at, and then is it dot x? see, I think now this one takes like 3 digits. Yeah, see that to me is like why isn't it positioned this way? Or maybe yeah, cuz camera look at, and then yeah, it wants 3 parameters and then it doesn't. And so anyway, so if we do this, then what'll happen is yeah, so now we're off. We're kind of looking at from the left. So now we could um, make the X 3. And see, now we're farther away and it's kind of to the left. We could make Y 3. So now we're kind of up above it a little bit. Just make all 3.5. I'd love to know why they chose those numbers for the example. So now we're kind of up and to the left. Now let's just go back down to 0 and 0. And so now we're just right up there. See, every time we did a 0.5, we were farther away from it. And that's what made it smaller. I don't think you can really, it's just a rotating cube, so you can't really see. But you see, like, I don't know. I think that this inconsistency, right, of how you're mapping the X, Y, and Z. Like here, we're setting individually, and maybe you can set them all together or whatever. But here we don't, and I don't want that in on my side of stuff. I like the idea of now saying, hey, I'm going to have a look at. And that's also the same thing. It is an ST position. All right, so now we have that. And now it's going to break. And then we're going to say, comma, look at. And this was kind of like this sort of inconsistency really made the animation very, very confusing and convoluted. So I do know that just straight up out of the gate that we're going to have issues with that. Like we're going to have to come up with a good way to do mappings, and there is a concept that ChatGPT taught me that was, or that it informed me of, that was, I guess taught me is the right word. It's called custom custom aliasing, and I definitely intend to make heavy use of that. Dot look at dot x. Now it'd probably be better like if I could instead of having to use this and then this long word, if I had a smaller name, but you know, I don't think that's that big of a deal. That's why NZ. And so now let's say we want to look just a little bit above it. You know, so we're going to look at on the y-axis, so that's the vertical axis. We're going to just look up a little bit above it. Oh, we can't even see it. So 0.1, 0.5. Oh, you can't see it. 0.3. Oh, just there, see the top of it. And back to 0. And these are definitely things that I want to be able to animate. And one thing that, and I'm pretty sure you can't actually, so while you can say like const x is equal to, and you can get it back, you know. And this was a huge mistake I made early. There's no way const l like lux lux look at. There's no way to get what it's looking at, and that's because if it moves, it will, like, for example, if I say now camera X position, and I make this like 3. See, I can't see it, and that's because the camera didn't change. Now if I go like this, now it's looking over there. So like, and this isn't like, let's see if I can do a set timeout. We'll just add a second between so we can see it. So like if we say, I'm just going to get rid of this one. Not that it makes any difference. Yeah, who cares? Yeah. Well, it might be a bit confusing. So, um, then after a second, it's gone. Now let's say we say, oh, after 2 seconds. So in 2 seconds, we're going to run this code to change what it looks at. And see what happened is it moved and the camera just stayed looking. So the camera doesn't sort of lock on. And that is like kind of a bummer. But what's really in, I don't know, like frustrating is that they have another concept called a spotlight, which is a light that points at things. That does maintain its look at, apparently, or now I guess it looks at an object. So as the object moves, it stays looking at it, or it can look at 000. You can't actually change what it points at. So they kind of went a whole different direction with spotlights, you know. But I mean, honestly though, like I've worked with tons of APIs and tons of issues and stuff, tons of different things, and that is so small potatoes compared to problems that most APIs have. I mean, in general, ThreeJS is a rock solid API that is a pleasure to work with, but it's not perfect. Um, but anyway, so now we did 2 things. We basically created a position and we updated the camera to use the position. To me, like the most valuable part of this is this. Like now I can see, like I can use this IDE and say, oh, okay, I have a width, a frustrate. I can see these things, and then I can go like that and do that. And obviously, like all these things are going to get pulled out, much like the way the renderer, like into like a camera service and into a scene service. Um, I guess I don't. Yeah, into a scene service and all that. All that stuff will get pulled into other services that handle the actual stuff, and so I'll be passing it like a camera. The camera service will get a camera that I'll send in and all that. But like, I think that this is just very, very easy to look at and sort of figure out what you want. I think, And I do like the fact that the position, the way position and look at it is consistent. Unlike on the three side, where one of them is done like this and the other one is done like that. Um, and so, and I don't even know. I think there might be a way that you can actually set the position and pass it in something like this. Let me see. Um, I think it might be set position. Maybe it's, yeah, maybe not. But anyways, that is how that works. So I don't like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer the way there's inconsistencies in the way things are set up, which makes coding, writing generic code to like handle generalities, um, almost impossible. Um, and I do want my code. I want to be able to write the code in like sort of to handle generalities, but I do know that on the ThreeJS side that there's some inconsistencies that I will need to sort of write. I guess what people used to call a shim. I don't know if that's still what it's called, but basically a thing that's gonna translate from this language, which is the showtime, show space and time language and concepts into the 3J into this. So there'll be like a translation layer, um, and hopefully, then when I'm trying to calculate um, my animations and things like that, it will be a lot easier to um, to have like consistencies or have a like sort of a more generic and consistent way, because like everything will be held in this sort of format, and then there'll be like a service that does all of this, that does this kind of stuff, that does these writing. But what's next? It looks like the next thing I'll probably do is this geometry situation, and this is a box geometry. Um, it would have been good if instead of a box they had used like one of the other platonic forms or geometries, because those all just have one one value, or one required value, and that's the radius. So you can do a lot of neat things with that. Um, but anyways, yeah. So next I'll be dealing with this, and then there's really not much in the material at this point, but so I guess I'll just leave material as is, and then circle back up and try to figure out something to do with this information, like an animation thing. And then once that's all done, then the next steps will probably be to create a component that this gets rendered in, and I guess probably a signal or something that the component listens for, to know what it's supposed to render in itself, and to know what its width and height is. I guess like we can set, like right now we could have set, like let's set this to like 100. The problem, one thing is like this stuff is like in a I think it's in the body. Um, so that didn't seem to do anything. I thought that that would. Oh, oh, that is weird. Image width and image height. It was like another place that we had a width and a height. Oh, the renderer width. What the heck is that? And it doesn't do anything. That's kind of the funny thing, is that Oh, all it did was that doesn't actually change the width and height. What it does is it sets the aspect ratio. Um, and that actually makes me wonder, like, do I really maybe it should be instead of the camera, because that was confusing, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to change the width and height, and then it didn't, and that's because that was the aspect ratio. Um, let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, so then let's see, inspect. Yeah, see, we really want this to be inside of a div so that we can move it around, right? Like, um, see, position, absolute, left, 100px. Yeah, so we want to be able to have that sort of control, but we probably don't want to be moving the actual canvas itself. We probably want to be moving the component. So that is probably how that's going to be. Definitely need to rethink this. It really seems like this should not be the width and height. The it should be aspect ratio, because that's what we're doing, and then maybe yeah, I think that's what we should do. We should go into the camera, get rid of this, make this aspect ratio. And then like up here, change this to aspect ratio. And then say this, I think it was width over height, right? Width divided by this dot height. And then just double check that's what we do down here. Yeah, width. Okay, this is actually, so then this, st camera dot aspect ratio. And that way, that confusion's just gone now, right? What is your problem? Did I misspell it? Aspect? Oh, image height. Oh, because I didn't save, I bet you. Oh, nope, because I didn't get rid of the height. I just got, okay, let me hit undo and just make sure okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I neglected to remove the height here, so let's save that. And I think that that is way, way less confusing, right? Like, so I'm not, that was silly of me, right? I was like, oh, okay, the width and the height there. I'm setting this, I'm changing this here, and all I did was change the aspect ratio. Um, but now we know exactly what it is, and I think that is a better way to go about that. Um, so that is that. Where are we at? We are at 29 minutes, so not great, not horrible. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.